if I had $1 for every time that I said during a match that I was going to change my class just after this match, and then I forgot to do it, I would have enough money to buy a rubber vagina. A very, very effective rubber vagina. And then every time my girlfriend was like, Batman, mow the lawn. And I'm like, I'm not mowing that lawn one more goddamn time. And then she's all, well, you're not getting any then. With my rubber vag, I could be all like, well, who needs you anyway, bitch? But seriously, they need to have like a button that you can hit on the start menu or whatever during a match that reminds you after the match is over to put that suppressor on your goddamn gun. Better yet, why not just let motherfuckers change their classes in-game during the match like in Battlefield? COD developers providing easier access to game mechanics, thus allowing their players to evolve their playstyle over the course of a match to better adapt to the situation at hand, thus providing for a more customizable and enjoyable experience? Like that'll ever happen. Call of Duty needs to stop trying to dumb the game down by hindering strong players to better accommodate weak players. Instead, Call of Duty should do everything in its power to uplift the weakest players and foster a more competitive and intense system of battle. They can do this efficiently and consistently with exponentially increasing results by placing a trampoline at the very bottom of the skill gap. They need to make a separate set of playlists specifically designed to accommodate the weakest players among us. You make the cutoff like a .60 KD, or perhaps they could bring back score per minute and the cutoff could be players under a 200 SPM, which would of course be more preferable, but in either scenario, players playing under the cutoff line are restricted to a set of playlists where they will only play against other players under that cutoff point. The playlist should be similar to combat training from Black Ops 2, where the teams are each half AI, half human. This will ease the risk of low playlist populations and provide a more survivable atmosphere in-game for the weakest players among us. Now this may seem a bit much, but I do think that these players, and I'm talking about the guys who go 5-20 every match, the guys where you're just like, how can they even be that bad? The kind of players that guarantee your team is going to lose if there are more than 2 of them on your team at a time. I'm not trying to insult these players or disparage weak players. In my experience, most of the time, they're just really, really little kids, ages 6 to 10, and we were all that age at one point, and we were all not that great at multiplayer video games, and if you think you are, it's probably because you're an arrogant cunt. And they just have no idea what the fuck is going on. I remember a while back watching my little brother play, and it was just a massacre. I mean, he didn't know how to check corners, he didn't know how to use a mini-map, he had no understanding of spawns or managing recoil, and worst of all, he wasn't very good at hiding from kill streaks. He would spawn, walk around, and die again and again and again. He was still learning the game, and Call of Duty can be a hard game to learn under fire. They're not bad people, they're not stupid people, and now that he's getting older, I'm actually convinced my little brother would be the greatest gamer of all time. And besides, there are more important things in life than being good at Call of Duty, and he was actually getting very frustrated too, is the important thing to understand. I think there's this common misperception that the kids going 5-20 are so bad they don't even know how bad they are, but they do. They don't enjoy getting shit on every match, they just can't help it for the same reason a 6-year-old can't compete with a 19-year-old in football or soccer or any other competition of any kind ever in all time, period. All parties involved would benefit greatly if the weakest players were quarantined off to do battle and learn the game amongst themselves and only other players of a similar skill level. I know I'm not the only one out there who has fought bitterly in a match to the very end, a close match against some fucking punk-ass bitches on the other team talking shit in the lobby beforehand, and you want that win so bad, but you lose, and you look at the scoreboard, and at the end of the match, and there they are, those 2 kids going 5-20 or 10-30 or 15-50 fucking 5, and you hate them viciously for how incompetent they are because you lost a match you wanted to win because you had kids on your team still learning the goddamn game. It's like trying to play a football game but losing because a third of the kids on your team still thought you had to count alligators before you could cross the line of scrimmage. It's just so fucked up. And in Call of Duty, you're literally better off just playing with a man down as opposed to having this uber weak player because an empty slot on your team doesn't provide the enemy team with infinite kill streaks at the least. Now, the only people who would be worried about this change are pub stompers, but don't worry, there will still be pub stomping because this playlist will be restricted to the weakest of the weak, under .60 KD. There will still be plenty of negative KD players in the regular playlist available and ripe for bullying. I mean pub stomping. Oh wait, same thing. So these weak players get moved to their own playlist and suddenly they aren't going to be getting shit on at all times. They'll be in an environment in which they learn the game at their own pace and actually rack up some success and pride in their abilities now that they aren't spending the whole match, every match, getting killed in ways they have no earthly idea how to prevent. And what would be even better is if the playlist served as a sort of tutorial mode, like little tips appeared on screen pointing towards the minimap and would say something like, hey, fuckwit, the red dots in this square are bad guys, just so you know. And in theory, they wouldn't even have to be there that long, because if they're playing against teams that consist of half bots and half players of their own caliber, their KD will begin to rise rapidly. They will have more success than they've ever had before, and when they finally do hit a high enough milestone to gain entrance back into the regular playlists, they will be a much better player after having had the opportunity to learn the game in an environment custom fit to their abilities and with tutorial mode specifically designed to enhance those abilities. And if players are continually getting stronger, they in turn will push the players they play against to get stronger as well. The trampoline will do us all some good, and everyone will be better off for it, because if the players are stronger, the game itself will be able to expand its depth and complexity without risking a hit to sales, because the masses are of course weak players and the game can't get stronger until they get stronger. One of the biggest problems with Ghosts this year is that they tried so hard to put everyone on an equal footing with the biggest fucktards among us that they royally screwed the entire game, because it's a tightrope you have to walk when designing a game that effectively has no skill gap. If you fall to the left, the game will accidentally have a skill gap and the weak won't buy it, but if you fall to the right, the game won't be fun. Ghosts fell to the right this year. This trampoline will make that tightrope a plank, and then it will be a walkway, and then a fucking bridge, and then a motherfucking catapult, and I'm catapulting bitches to Uranus, and motherfuckers respect the cock or not. Like I give a fuck, son. This is East LA all day. Come at me. Please bash that like button with your fucking cock. This is Batman, signing out.